Is this the face you make when picking out a Christmas tree? Is it just totally full of Christmas cheer? Hi everybody, I'm Beebs Kelly. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to take a look at Meghan Markle's holiday special. Joy, lucky us. But before we begin, I would like to invite you to subscribe, click the hype button and the like button, but only if you want to. So this should have been titled a Christmas special because they do Christmassy things the entire time. It starts with a Christmas tree and they talk about Christmas the whole time. So I'm a little confused why it wasn't just called a Christmas special and instead they opted for a holiday special. I feel like that would have made sense if it came out earlier in the season, like around November, like earlier in November before Thanksgiving. It would have made sense for it to be a holiday special because it would have like kind of been for the whole holiday season and the vibe across Thanksgiving all the way through till Christmas. So I feel like it doesn't make that much sense for it to be called a holiday special when it's really all about Christmas and came out in December after Thanksgiving. But I guess it doesn't really matter what they call it because no one's really watching it anyway. It's not performing very well. I mean, the last one, the part 2, didn't even rank in the top 300. It was really, really low. People weren't watching it. I mean, it had stiff competition because it was up against like Wednesday and stuff, which of course is very, very popular. But at the same time, it's the holiday season and people like to watch this type of content around this time of year sometimes, even if they don't other times of year. So it had potential to perform a little bit better than part 2 did, but it doesn't look like it's actually pulling that off. At least not so far. But it begins with the Meg, as she typically does, telling us something we already know about how to decorate a tree. Redundant, pointless information. Doesn't everyone put lights on the inside and outside of the tree? Doesn't everyone put baubles and ornaments on the inside and outside of the tree? This is how we have all been decorating trees for like 100 years. We don't need to see the Meg do it or explain common sense. It's just like when Meghan like packed a suitcase on the show. Who needs to see that? No one. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with showing decorating a tree or talking about decorating a tree. Like nothing at all, especially for a holiday special. It makes sense to decorate a tree or like have that included, some footage of that or something like that. Just don't include like instructions that are so redundant and basic. It feels kind of annoying to hear stuff like that. Like, what is the point of saying that? Like, oh, I love a holiday wreath. It's so seasonal. Like, aren't they all seasonal? At least say something interesting or talk about the vibe or talk about themes for trees. I don't know. Just don't do the most basic of tips that are completely common sense because it feels dumb. When she pontificates on a Christmas tree encapsulating a family story with ornaments from years past, it falls incredibly flat and feels especially bizarre because the tree is in someone else's house with purchased ornaments. Like these are not Meghan's personal ornaments that she's putting on the tree. This is like a guest house tree sort of a situation. They're not her family ornaments. So the messaging just really doesn't connect here. Then we get into advent calendars, and she writes spindly cursive messages to the kids and puts them in their advent calendar. They're like 4 and 6 right now, I believe, so they can't read it. They cannot read the notes that she's making. What is happening? Why be so silly like this? What would have been more helpful, perhaps, or like interesting maybe, would have been to cover ideas besides illegible notes or candy to include in an advent. For people who DIY it, they might appreciate some ideas or some inspiration on what to put in a DIY advent calendar. But she doesn't do that. No, she just shows her write spindly cursive that her children have no hopes of reading. Pointless, like the whole show. Also, she makes this, it's going to be like a savory puff pastry situation. It just doesn't look quite right to me. It looks a little too lumpy. And the outfit, I mean, nothing says holiday like brown. You can see here this particular outfit, this brown V-neck sweater vest and trousers are not very flattering on her. It enhances her boxy short torso. It adds a lot of bulk and weight to her midsection, and it's not even festive. This was probably the most interesting of the outfits that she wore, but it certainly was not good. In a shocking turn of events, she's making reindeer chow, which is just that chocolatey, peanut buttery cereal snack. Some people call it puppy chow. And you guys, she's saying that she's making it for her guest to take home to his wife. By the way, her guest is Christina Tocci's I think that's how you pronounce her last name. From a previous episode, it's her husband coming. So, she probably couldn't find anybody else to come by or something like that. So she went for somebody's husband, which, is fine. He is a chef. It makes sense. It just feels like the pool of people that she had to choose from was small. That's all. It's noticeable. But anyway, as she says that she's making this for him to take home to his wife, she dives in with her bare hands and manhandles this sticky, gooey mixture and cereal with all of her jewelry and everything dangling about in it, and it is so disgusting. I literally can't even. Food safety is a thing. Everywhere, all the time, even at home, even when no one's looking, but especially if cameras are on. This is plain nasty, nasty. She even takes bites and keeps touching it and doesn't clean her hands in between. She's like putting food in her mouth while fondling it. It is profoundly gross. In an interesting comment, the guest Will says that sometimes I think when people are hosting, they're too caught up in impressing the guest to remember why someone came over in the first place. And I couldn't help but think that Meghan just needed to hear this because she cyber stalks her guests to find out what their favorite beverage is so that she can have it on hand. And that is not good hostessing per se. That's a little bit weird. But in true Meg fashion, she's just totally like, yes, I totally agree. When he says that it's better even to just order takeout and bond than stress out and be in the kitchen the whole time. But in every single other episode of this lame series, she has lectured us on how much better it is to make all these things yourself because it's so much more special. So which is it? Is it about making it so special and looking like you went above and beyond and cyber stalking people so you can mysteriously have their favorite snacks on hand? Or is it about being present with the people and bonding with them and not worrying about impressing them? Because Meghan's trying to say she agrees with him on this, but history shows us she doesn't. And this is one of those sorts of narcissistic types of habits where you'll just agree with the person. It's kind of like mirroring, and psychologically, I think the point is to like try to build a false rapport with the person so that then they feel like you're more simpatico than you maybe really are. But, she's not being authentic to herself. It's okay. She should have just said, I like to make everything myself because I feel like it's more special. Then she at least would be standing by the whole rest of this series. Then they do a Christmas crackers tutorial sort of craft. Tutorial is, I'm using that loosely. She doesn't explain too awful much. But I would like to know your feelings on Meghan doing this after she was so ruthless in her lies, painting the entirety of the UK as toxic and ist and mean, after she was so disrespectful to the culture and the Queen and more. How do those of you who are British feel about Meghan doing a Christmas cracker craft and tutorial and explaining it like she's some kind of authority on the subject? I don't think it's a good look for her. I don't think it's a good idea in general, because she has demonstrated near zero ability to learn about and be respectful of her husband's culture countless times, and British culture in general. So this just feels a little off to me. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Next, Will says that the holidays are like putting the world on pause to be able to focus on relationships that matter. And again, it feels like he's a real person and the Meg is just agreeing with her words, but her history is absolutely not that way. So it feels a little weird. It's very contradictory because she's burned every bridge known to man. She's burned bridges with Harry's entire family to smithereens, and she's alienated both sides of the family, and she's a notorious ghoster. So I mean, what, Meghan? What do you mean? Because she doesn't really appear to be the type to have focused on very many of her familial relationships. Then she begins a segment on preparing a Christmas brunch in pajamas because her friend's tradition is to wear matching pajamas on Christmas Day, which I feel like this is very bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. It's her friend's family tradition, like with her kids and husband, that they wear matching pajamas on Christmas Day. So why the heck is Meghan in pajamas while cooking food on her show? Or sort of arranging food on her show? I don't understand what's going on at all. I don't get how that felt like it made sense. Throughout the episode, there's several points where it feels like they ran out of stuff to do or say, or they cut out some of Meghan talking about herself because there's just a lot of things like, oh, gorgeous. Oh, that looks so good. woo, instead of any real conversation or anything significant about like the food or the decor. Like there's very little significant material here. There's some mundane wreath making with zero interesting anecdotes and a decent lack of chemistry. And this is the same criticism as every other episode. It's just watching Meghan do things, which does not make a good show. She doesn't have the charisma or the vibe, so it falls flat and it feels very empty. It really needed more substance and interest, which could have easily been added through more detailed how-tos, more detailed demonstrations or tutorials or talking about supplies a little bit, just a little bit more of that. And it would have helped a lot. It would have gone a long way because then at least you would feel like you're getting a little bit of value out of it by way of a tutorial. But no, Meg can't be bothered. She just wants this. As I've said, my theory is this was meant to be a reality show for her. So she literally views it as, you're watching me do stuff and that is enough. But in reality, it is far from enough. There is another crudité, you guys. I could hardly believe it. This time she talks about where to place the dip bowl, but this is like the 12th crudité platter we have seen, or like arranged platter of food. Who thought this was a good idea to have nearly every episode have a crudité? It makes no sense. The craft with Naomi Osaka is making a mug and plate to leave out for Santa, but again, this would have made much more sense to have the kids be involved with it and do with them or talk about it in the context of having the kids do it rather than just the adults doing it. It makes the whole thing feel out of touch and very out of place. Very strange, very odd to have this segment when it's very clearly a craft geared towards children. As per usual, there is alcohol in every single scene except those with Naomi. And the segment with Tom Colicchio was the most interesting because he is a chef. So there is a little bit of interesting, like, few minutes in there, but still they kind of cut away from the cooking and the how-to so frequently, you still wouldn't be able to, like, make what he makes. It's still not delivering enough value. Meghan makes some gumbo. The chicken thighs look raw, which is a little wild, but maybe they cook longer after this. I'm not sure. And then Harry joins them, and it's very awkward when he arrives. I can't play the clip because of copyright, but he pops in, and it's just an awkward vibe, probably because he didn't really want to do it. But Meghan has this nervous laughter the second he pops in, and then he's sheepishly like, hi guys. But then it settles down a little bit and they chat, and then it's over. Thank goodness. That's it. It's nothing to write home about. It's not worth anybody's time. It's repetitive. It's boring. It's bland. It's uninspired. Just like every other episode, this is really no different. But I think that it's over forever now, which is great news. Thank you for joining me for today's video. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and I hope you have a happy day ahead. I'll see you next time. Bye!